Hello recruits, in this tutorial I'll be explaining all the information needed to understand the basic mechanics and terms for KurtzPel. So let's get straight into the tutorial. Dashing is the main way to move quickly by pressing the W key twice fast. It is referred to in the game as WW. A normal attack is done by pressing the left mouse button. It is referred to in the game as LMB. A special attack is done by pressing or holding the right mouse button. It is referred to in the game as RMB. A normal skill is performed by pressing E, R or F keys by default. Some normal skills can be used twice, 3 times, or can be aimed after using them, but the game will usually display when you use such. Normal skills are usually referred to in the game by the player base as just skills. A rage skill is your ultimate skill. It consumes your rage resource, which you can obtain by either dealing or taking damage. It is often referred to in the game as just ultimate or ult. Don't be surprised if you encounter some of the most cancer ultimates in the game that will haunt you for eternity.
Oh nah, man.
A karma is the weapon type that you have equipped on your character to fight with. A player has 2 karmas equipped and can switch between them during battle. Each karma has its own unique attacks, normal skills, rage skills, and passive skills. The passive skills are passive stats that affect the damage output, cooldown timers, or mana costs of the karma before a battle starts. They are usually referred to in the game as passives. The tab key is used to switch between your equipped karmas. The action is referred to as tabbing. You can also switch during attacks, which will perform an extra attack, but the cooldown for it will be increased. This action is referred to as hard tabbing. The stamina is the resource used for commands like dashing or doing normal or special attacks. If your stamina runs out, you will enter an exhausted state, which is a status effect that makes you unable to do any attacks or run for a short period of time. Basically you're f***ed. There are more status effects, but I will address them a bit later in the tutorial. The mana is the resource used for normal skills. This is the exact resource that causes this type of absolutely crazy intense gameplay and action. Holy! The endurance is the capacity to endure an enemy's attacks. Pay attention to the purple bar and notice how different skills and moves have different endurances and break values. A break value is the amount of endurance an attack depletes from the opponent. When the endurance reaches 0, the character will enter a broken state, which makes them unable to perform attacks. If someone says, "He tanked my skill," that means that the player's attack was not able to break the opponent. The dodge, also referred to as shift, is used to evade attacks. While shifting, you will notice that the character is blinking. While the character is blinking, that means that they cannot be harmed, or in other words, are invincible until the blinking disappears. The blinking is referred to in the game as iframes, meaning invincibility frames. You can also shift to escape from the broken state if your character is touching the ground, but the cooldown for it will be increased. There are a number of status effects that have either positive effects on your character or negative, such as the exhaust that I mentioned before. Here are some of them. Stunned effect prevents you from moving, attacking, or shifting. Bleeding effect does damage over time. Slowed down effect slows down your movement speed. Burning effect is similar to the bleeding effect and it does damage over time. Freezing effect freezes the character on spot and it does not let them do more moves. If the freeze is applied to an enemy that is not in the break state, the enemy will continue to do their skill or move until it finishes. Oh, and for some reason when you're frozen in the air, you stay in the air. Neutral is a term in the game that players use when referring to the current state between the opponent's endurances. If a player wins neutral, it means that they broke the opponent without them being able to shift, which means the opponent that was broken lost the neutral. Some attacks make a player slam on the ground or touch the ground, but they cannot use shift or evade. These attacks are referred to as knockdown attacks. If you are left for a short period of time on the ground from a knockdown attack, you will lay down on the ground vulnerable for a short period of time before getting up. This is referred to as being in a knockdown state or being knocked down. You can get up from being knocked down in 2 ways. One way is to hold the directional key, which will cause your character to get up towards that direction with iframes. The other way is to not hold any directional key, which will trigger an attack usually referred to as get up attack. This attack causes very nearby enemies to enter a broken state and deals a very small amount of damage while your character has iframes. There is a way to prevent getting into the knockdown state, and it is called Breakfall. It can be used to get up right before entering the knockdown state by pressing LMB right after touching the ground. You can also hold the directional key while pressing it to get up towards that direction.
Not even close.
The combo sign shown in the game at the left side of the screen is the damage dealt to the enemy, though the term combo has a different meaning in the game. A combo is winning neutral and holding the opponent unable to shift or escape it. The key to making a perfect combo is using attacks and moves in a sequence that keep the enemy in the air most of the time and only touch the ground from knockdown attacks. There is a way to force an escape out of a combo, and it is called mana evade. It is a mechanic that you can only use after you have been in the broken state for 8 seconds or more. It will push you back away from the enemy while being invincible until a bit after making contact with the ground at the cost of some mana. This mechanic is supposed to prevent you from dying after being caught once. There is a move called Chase. Chase is only available while the opponent is in the broken state and the attack sends them in the air, allowing you to continue the combo. Different karmas have different types of chases, but the most common one is to move quickly close to the enemy in a straight line. And now to explain the different roles of the two karma classes, Breakers and Slayers. Breakers' strength is the battle for winning neutral. They have high endurance skills and moves, so they can tank attacks easier, but they also have skills that have high break values to help them win the neutral. While their attacks have high break values, their damage however is very low. Slayers, on the other hand, are great at dealing massive damage but have less overall endurance, cannot tank attacks easily, meaning they can be broken easily, and most of their attacks do not have high break values, so it is harder to win neutral with them. Slayers also take more damage overall from attacks. Knowing the advantages and weaknesses of both types of karmas, the best combination is to have one Breaker and one Slayer equipped in order to use both of their strengths at the right moments. The most common rule to remember is when you haven't won the neutral, you have the Breaker karma equipped so that even if you lose the neutral, you take less overall damage until you can escape the opponent's combo. And when you win the neutral, you switch to the Slayer so you can deal more damage to the opponent faster before they can escape. So, those are all of the mechanics and terms you will need to know to understand the game and not get run over and completely railed in PvP. Keep in mind, in the future, some of the mechanics could have changed or have been removed from the game. If this tutorial was helpful, leave a like, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below or join my Discord server. Hope you enjoyed the game and the inevitable suffering that comes with it, and until next time, salutes!